Hi guys, I'm Sage.
And I'm Summer.
Welcome back to our channel. So for today's video, we are going to do a story time about our births with all of our children. I have 3 kids and Summer has 4 kids. And we're going to talk about our birth stories with all of them in the order of which they were born. So Summer was the first one to have a child between the both of us. So she's going to start with her stories first.
So I was pregnant at 16. I found out I was pregnant when I was 16 years old. We were working together at our first job, and a lot of the girls were sexually active there, so they kept a lot of the pregnancy tests there. I thought it was funny for me to pee on one, because I was like, oh, now I finally started being sexually active, I'm gonna just go and try it. And to my surprise, it came out positive, and I did not think it was positive. I had no symptoms. I'm only 16. I didn't think it was gonna happen to me. Immediately I call Sage, and I was in the bathroom at work.
I went to the store and bought like 5 different pregnancy tests.
Yeah, just to confirm, because we're like, hey, this might be a false one.
Yeah.
So I go and take them all, and they're all positive, and I just start kind of freaking out inside. Obviously, I'm thinking what my mom's gonna think, what's my dad gonna think, what is my boyfriend at the time gonna think. So I ended up telling my parents that day. So I cannot keep a secret for the life of me, especially like can't keep a secret. I came home and I tried to keep a secret because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, as far as having the baby or not. And it just kind of came out as I was talking to my mom. She just looked at me and she was like, what, Summer? And then my dad was like so disappointed. He just walked outside of the house. He didn't talk to me. My mom didn't talk to me for a couple weeks. They were just really hurt and upset. So a little backstory, growing up, I was always like,
oh,
the
Summer?
good, yeah.
No, not Summer.
Like I was always like goody two shoes.
Oh, Sage got into some trouble. Like Sage.
It was
Sage.
It was expected of Sage, and it wasn't expected of me. So for me to come home and just drop this bombshell, whatever it's called,
break the news
to them that their perfect daughter got pregnant at 16, they were just devastated. But as time grew on, they began to accept it, and things happened. So with Faith, so my oldest daughter name is Faith. With her, I didn't have any symptoms. I really didn't have anything. I could sleep on my stomach till the day I gave birth. When I had her, so I was induced the day I was supposed to have her. And it took me about 12 hours from when I was induced to when I actually had her. I got the epidural. Sage and my husband were in the room, the only ones in the room at the time. It was like 1:30 in the morning. And I remember Sage's face, like as I was pushing, I was crowning. And I remember Sage's face was like looking at it, and she was just like, what is that black thing? And it was the baby's hair. And I was like, oh my God, my baby has hair. Your first kid, you don't know what your kid's gonna look like. You don't know if they're gonna be bald, if they're gonna have hair. She had like a full head of hair. And the birth was actually pretty easy. I pushed her like 10-15 minutes, and then she came out and we fell in love. That just,
I cut her umbilical cord.
She did, yes.
I did. Of all of Summer's kids, Faith was the only one I actually watched be delivered.
Yeah. That was back in 2008. So now she is 12 years old.
Okay, so my oldest, we were 17, already graduated high school. I turned 18. Right after I turned 18, I found out I was pregnant. I was scared to tell my parents, but I ended up telling them. I feel like she kind of took the first blow for it, so it wasn't as surprising. But although I had just turned 18 and technically got pregnant at 17, I was already done with high school. I was with my boyfriend for like 3 years or whatever. My pregnancy, I don't really remember too much of it. I just really remember not being too happy. And
okay, no, when she got pregnant, she was like, this is gonna be just like Summer's pregnancy. I had the easiest pregnancy with Faith. Easiest.
I remember that. When
she got pregnant, she was like nauseous. Certain smells would throw her off. She kind of had like a difficult-er pregnancy than me, and so we thought she had a boy. We thought she was pregnant with a boy because it was different than my pregnancy. We always compare each other's bodies and things together. So we thought because my pregnancy was easy, hers was going to be easy, and because it wasn't as easy as mine, we thought for sure this was going to be a boy. We found out it was a girl, and it was like, oh, so we're just different people. with different bodies. Like, okay, so we're not the same.
Yeah. And I was a few days overdue, went into labor because my water broke actually the day before I was supposed to go and get induced. I went there trying to push her out, couldn't do it. Her heart rate was dropping something, so they ended up cutting me open, and only me and her dad were in the room. And that was in 2009. She's 11 years old now, and her name is Kaylin, and that's my oldest.
Yeah. And then I had a child after that. So I was 18 technically when I was pregnant. I literally found out I was pregnant the day after my 19th birthday. I took a pregnancy test, and again, this time I didn't have any symptoms. I just thought it was possible to be pregnant. I just didn't feel like I was. So to put that possibility, because I wanted a drink, to put the possibility out of my head, I took a pregnancy test and it came out positive. Me and my husband were excited. I ended up having her when I was 20. Brooklyn, so her name is Brooklyn. She was a little bit more difficult than with my oldest, Faith. I was a lot bigger with her. I showed a lot quicker. I couldn't sleep on my stomach like I did with Faith. I couldn't bend down. It hurt to bend down. I just remember having a difficulty with that aspect, but I didn't have morning sickness or anything like that. My water ended up breaking when I was at my mom's house. It was about 5 in the morning, and my water didn't break with Faith, so I didn't know that this was my water breaking. It was a very small trickle. So I told my mom, she had my oldest daughter at the time, so I told my mom, hey, I'm gonna go to the hospital. And she kind of was like sleeping, so she's like, okay. And she kind of just went back to bed. I drove myself to the hospital while I'm having these contractions. I called my husband, he's at his mom's house. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to the hospital. My water broke. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're driving to the hospital. Come get me now. Because their house was on the way to the hospital. So I went and picked him up. He drove me there. I get in and immediately I'm like, give me the epidural. I get the epidural, and within an hour after I had the epidural, Brooklyn is born. So they had to kind of help Brooklyn come out because my cervix didn't drop 100%. So they had like a little suction device. And then we found out she was 10 pounds, 2 ounces. The doctor was in total disbelief because my doctor did not know she was going to be that big. I wasn't measuring that big. And she was the biggest out of all of our children. Faith was 8 pounds, 10 ounces. Kaylin was 8 pounds, 12 ounces. So then Brooklyn came out 10 pounds. I even told the doctor, shut up. Because I was like, no way. And she was all cheeks. They were all 21 inches long, my kids. She was super big. That was in 2010, and she's 10 years old now. Oh, and then I had the next kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so my third child is a boy. His name is Isaiah. So when I got pregnant with Isaiah, I don't remember when I found out I was pregnant. We were excited, and then when we found out it was a boy, we were even more excited because I had 2 girls. She had a girl. We were just hoping for a boy in the family. We were super ecstatic. I kept telling the girl to check every single time I got an ultrasound to make sure that this was a boy. And every single time, yes, it was a boy. During my pregnancy, this is the first baby that I had morning sickness with, and I had it for a very long time, and I've never experienced it with the first 2. So that was kind of unsettling for me, just because I hate feeling nauseous, and I couldn't throw up on my own. So my brother-in-law was supposed to watch the kids for us, and we had a plan that he was going to watch the kids while I went to the hospital and gave birth. So in the morning, I remember having like really bad contractions at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just thinking, wow, these are getting stronger, and my water hadn't broke. So I told my husband, I was like, let's just wait till go to the hospital when my water breaks. And I'm over there sitting in the rocking chair, and I'm waiting, and they're getting harder, and they're getting stronger, and I'm timing them, and they're about 4 minutes apart, and I look at my husband, I'm like, call your brother, because we need to go to the hospital. These contractions are coming harder, stronger. My water didn't break yet, but they're coming, so something's happening. So we go down to the hospital, and I'm calling my doctor because I had a 10-pound baby, and now I'm thinking I'm gonna have a 12-pound baby, 8, 10, 12. It just made sense in my head. I'm scared. My doctor's not there, and I'm screaming. And I decided not to get the epidural because I had back problems after the epidural. So anyways, this is the first time I'm feeling all of this pain all at once, and I'm screaming for my doctor. The nurses are telling me they won't come in until your water breaks, and I'm so upset, and I'm just like, get my doctor now, please. I feel like I need a push. And they're like, oh, once your water breaks, your doctor will come. So the nurse ended up, while she was checking to see how dilated I was. She ended up popping my water. I didn't know this. My husband told me. She stuck something in there and popped it. My water came out. I kid you not. The next 2 pushes, he was on the table. And I was so scared. He came out, really easy, really fast. And then my doctor runs in after my son is on the table. And he's telling me, I'm so sorry. This has never happened before. And I'm looking at him. I was so mad. And I'm just like, I've been calling you for the last 20 minutes. Where were you? He's like, we were waiting for your water to break. Well, my water broke and he came out literally in the next 2 pushes. And this is when I experienced the ring of fire everyone talks about. Anyways, that was a totally different experience giving birth than the first 2 because I had the epidural. And literally, after I had him, I was like, okay, can we go now? I'm ready to go. Because I was up and walking. It was a much different experience. It was a better experience, but I did yell a little bit. And the nurse told me not to yell. And I looked at her and I was like, shut up. And I always remember my grandma because grandma told me, don't yell in the delivery room. She always instilled it in her head. But I did. I screamed like a little girl. So anyways, that was in 2013. Isaiah was 8 pounds, 11 ounces. Another thing, it was actually on her daughter's birthday. They are 4 years apart. He was born on Kaylin's birthday.
Yeah.
In 2013. And now he's 7 years old. So I got pregnant again. I found out I was pregnant the day after Valentine's Day. So this one, kind of a shocker, but we were excited. I was working at a buffet. So this pregnancy, I also had a lot of morning sickness. So walking through the buffet, trying to smell the steak, smelling the Asian food, going through, and it was horrible. And my friend thought I was like being dramatic. And I remember her being like that. Everything in there made me sick. And it was just bad. But this is the only pregnancy I actually worked all the way up until I had her. So when I had her, I went to the doctors. We were supposed to be induced that day. And I remember we had it set, my mom was gonna watch all the other kids while we went to the hospital. We dropped them off in the morning and I just remember feeling very crampy. I was like, okay, I think these are contractions. They're starting to get a little tougher on the day I was getting induced. So we go to the hospital and I'm walking and I'm like, oh, okay, these contractions are getting stronger. I go in there and I'm in labor, but they already had my bed ready because I was supposed to be induced that day. My doctor comes in and she's like, you want me to pop your water, speed things up? And I was like, kind of scared, looked at my husband, and we decided yes to pop it. So she popped it. Literally in an hour, Autumn was born, my daughter Autumn. She was my smallest baby. She was 8 pounds 2 ounces, or 8 pounds 4 ounces. So for Autumn, I didn't have the epidural as well. And when I started pushing, I was like replaying my son's birth in my head, and I was like, where's the doctor? Last time this happened, my doctor didn't come. I need her here now. So they call her and she's coming. And I didn't scream for this one. But this time, as soon as I hear the doctor, I yell and I tell her, I'm pushing, she's coming. I feel the burn, she's gonna come. And the doctor tells me, go ahead and push. And I literally push and the doctor goes like, right when the doctor gets there and just assists for Autumn to come out. It was a really easy delivery after that. And that was in 2014. And now she's 5 years old. And those are all my kids. And then she had the next one after that.
Yeah, so then in 2015, I had my second child, Hazel. That none of my pregnancies were nice to me, so this one was just as bad. I hated everything that was cooked raw, it smelled. People looked at me weird. I hated it. I was just miserable the whole time. My husband now, who's not Kaylin's dad, but is Hazel's dad, he didn't believe me at first when I found out I was pregnant, and then so I took another test just to verify. Nothing too interesting with my going into it. I had a planned C-section. I actually had her earlier than my due date, specifically because I didn't want to deal with any of that. So yeah. I had her as early as I could scheduled. So now she's 4.
She was like 7 in the 7 pound range,
7
right?
pounds 2 ounces.
So she was the smallest baby out of all of us.
In 2018, I had my third and last daughter, Liliana. She is 2 years old now. Her pregnancy was just the same. I had lost the most weight with her, I want to say. I probably looked the best with her, but I hated every second of it. I don't like being pregnant at all. And so I asked the doctor to please tie my tubes up after I give birth. Turns out instead of tying my tubes, he just removed them completely, which is 100% like instant birth control. Yeah, so I was all for it. I love my daughters and they're all great, but I don't want any more kids. I had a miserable time being pregnant. But yeah, so I had a C-section with all 3 of my kids, and that's another reason I didn't want to have any more kids also. Hazel, my second one, she was the worst delivery. It was hard for me after that delivery. I was so scared to have my 3rd baby that I was already thinking about cutting myself off to having more kids as soon as I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, this is the end. I'm not,
I had all regular births. I didn't have any C-sections, so I don't know what she went through, but like watching her go through the C-sections, I tip my hat to all the moms out there that have to go through C-sections, because you have to take care of your kid while you are trying to heal from a major, to me it's considered a major surgery. They cut you open, you can't like laugh, you can't cough, it's
and
horrible.
then with Liliana, Hazel would like jump on top of me, and I'm like, I couldn't even yell because it would hurt to just yell at her.
I couldn't imagine, because my kids, 2 youngest, were a year and a half, trying to breastfeed and take care of a kid. If he ever like jumped, you know, if I had to have surgery, I couldn't even imagine.
I had 2 gender reveals actually with the last 2 pregnancies. One of the reasons, because I could wait. I had patience to wait. It was a lot of anxiety, but I waited to find out what I was having. And second, I didn't care after that point whether I was having a boy or girl, because I already had my girl. I was already giving up the hope that I was gonna have a boy. So I was like, oh, whatever. If it surprises me with a boy, I'll be extra happy. If it's another girl,
I already got girls.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah. And I actually enjoyed all my pregnancies, but I always had in my head like 4. Well, I did have ligament pains and I was nauseous, but I actually enjoyed being pregnant, and I didn't have a hard time delivering the babies. So I enjoyed being pregnant. 4 was just the most, like my sanity. I couldn't handle more kids. So that was all of our birth stories. A lot more went on throughout this experience, but that was just
I summed it up a lot quicker than that one.
Yeah. So that was all for a video today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.